Americans are voting in what is known as off-year elections today. It is the first major electoral test of Donald Trump's popularity since he took back the presidency in January. So far, the most closely watched is the mayoral race in New York, which is also being seen as a battle for the future of the Democratic Party. The frontrunner, self-declared Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani, has electrified younger voters, campaigning heavily on freezing rents, creating city-owned grocery stores and implementing free childcare for under fives, all to be paid for with a new tax on millionaires.
We are on the brink of making history in our city, on the brink of saying goodbye to a politics of the past. A politics that tells you what it can't do and really what it means to say is what it won't do. And to usher in a new era in this city where we understand that we do not get to choose the scale of the crisis we face. We simply get to choose the manner in which we respond.
North America correspondent Carrington Clark has been on the ground in New York City and speaking with voters. Carrington, take us what you've been hearing and really what's at stake in this election.
Yeah, Zohran Mamdani has taken a brave or stupid policy position, depending on your perspective. This is a radical departure from the position we've seen from more centrist Democrats in recent years. Zohran Mamdani is an unapologetically socialist-leaning Democrat, and he believes that the city of New York, which really personifies for many capitalist at its most unencumbered here in the United States, should be taxed more heavily so that people here can afford to live better lives. And he is promising a swathe of new policies to effectively expand the social safety net here. And as you say, by doing that, he's doing that by offering to tax the billionaires and millionaires here in New York in order to provide that money to people who need it. Now, it does appear to have electrified not only young people, but also immigrant communities here. He's also vying to be the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And he has, although he has focused primarily on cost of living pressures, he's also moved into other policy areas that are normally outside the purview of local elections, including commenting on Donald Trump's immigration crackdown and also international affairs like Israel's conduct in Gaza, even going so far as to threaten to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, if he comes to New York City. The polls would suggest that his message is electrifying young people, but really people across the board here in New York City. He's well ahead. His biggest competitor, in fact, is Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is the former governor of New York State. He is also a Democrat, but he lost to Mamdani in the primary contest and is so running as an independent in this general election. And he has been endorsed by the US President, Republican Donald Trump, who says that he would prefer a bad Democrat than, as he calls Zohran Mamdani, a communist.
We heard Donald Trump yesterday. He said if Mamdani wins, he's going to cut off funding to New York. He calls him a communist. He'll send the National Guard. We need a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump, who can get the funding that New York deserves, who can make sure the National Guard does not come to New York, because we don't need the National Guard, and I can stand up to Trump.
Donald Trump isn't on the ballot, but he is being often spoke about, not only in this race, but some of the other big races across the country, including the governor's races in New Jersey and in Virginia. But the reason I think that New York City has attracted so much attention is because Zohran Mamdani does exemplify a progressive pushback against Donald Trump, and he does seem to be receiving a huge amount of support for doing so. When we went to the polling stations today, we heard over and over again about people being excited by what he's offering when it comes to cost of living pressure relief, but also there were still pockets of support for Andrew Cuomo.
It was the only obvious choice. I wasn't going to vote for Cuomo. The man wasn't going to do anything. Sliwa is a character, and Zohran seems like he's actually going to enact some change in New York, and he is a New Yorker through and throughout.
I voted for Cuomo. I feel like he has the experience, and I supported everything he did in his past administration, so I feel like he'll be good for the city.
And as popular as Zohran Mamdani appears to be in New York City, his fellow New Yorker, Donald Trump, seems to be equally unpopular at this point. Donald Trump is trying to have whatever influence he can have on this race. He has threatened to cut off federal funding for New York City if Mr Mamdani does become the mayor. Mr Mamdani says that he will respond with whatever attributes at his disposal as mayor to push back on that concept. It remains to be seen just how tight this election might end up being. The polls suggest he is well ahead, but there has been a late flush of money going into the Andrew Cuomo campaign from some of the better off New Yorkers. So we wait to see what influence that might have on the result.
North America correspondent Carrington Clark, thank you.